Hello there guys and welcome, it is Niren here, and today it's time for me to bring you episode number 3 of our Grid 1 walkthrough on Race Driver Grid, the original from back in the day. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you, and I would be very surprised if you've seen that, would know that the branding has changed ever so slightly. Someone wanted me to introduce a bit more green, and I will do that in future episodes, but for now we've just changed the silver to white and the white to black, so we've now got blue with white and then black outlining, which looks pretty nice. But I will change it throughout the episodes, maybe even to coincide with some nice F1 liveries. Manner. Anyway, before we get underway, last time out we obviously started up our new team and we had quite a few race events that we did. We did one in Japan, which was a Touge, I've been told that's how you pronounce it, or Touge, a stock car race, and then a Club GT race in Europe. And we're gonna, I think, continue with the European theme for now, and we're gonna do some touring cars. So this is the race we're gonna get into, and it's a 35k cash prize if we win the event. But obviously we've got to go out and buy a Chevrolet Lacetti. Now, given its 56k list price, I reckon you could get it for quite a lot cheaper on eBay. But I was actually wrong. You can only get it for 4k less than it is on for new. Yeah, I tell you what, we're going to buy our first car on eBay. Jean Valet of White Cove Racing, we are going to buy your listed car. And I said last time I was going to bump up the difficulty to Savage, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and hopefully we can still win the event. We have now spent over 100k on new cars, and here you can see the man that we've got to beat. That is Chris Black of Sun East. I don't remember that team, in all honesty. Here you can see the slightly new livery that we've got going on. It does look quite nice, in my opinion. We are underway, quite slow off the line, though. We've been beaten already off the line by Carl Townsend and David Cooper, who I remember actually from our first touring car race over in America, so he's in this one. Nevertheless, this is a 20-car grid, and we are starting 7th on that grid. It's a 2-lap race. We have, of course, put the difficulty now up to Savage. This is also the first time we have bought a car used, so the car may not handle as well, but it will handle better than whoever just spun off. He's out of proceedings for now. Already very early on, I don't know who that was. We're up to 5th, though, because we've just breezed past Chris Black as well. We're being followed through the order by David Cooper, and here's a bit of trivia for you. I think David Cooper is the 6th best driver in the world as far as this game is concerned. He's not a real driver, but the game has him penciled in as the 6th best in the world, so he is a very good driver, and I think I actually used to have him as a teammate when I played this game originally. Anyway, I've got Andy Cook here, who by the look of the livery is the teammate of David Cooper. So we're in a bit of a luck sandwich. Carl Davis, the leader, his bumper has just flown off. And we're going to now lunge up the inside of Andy Cook down into turn 1. He gets the switchback on us, though. Good racing, this. This isn't very easy at all, but it's great racing. Simon Doherty now leads the race. Is he the guy that we were meant to beat, or are we just meant to be winning the race? That would... Oh, someone else has spun off at exactly the same corner as someone spun off earlier on. We're going up the inside there of Andy Cook. A little bit of a kiss on the way through. Not the cleanest of moves, but we do make the moves stick as someone else spun off. Simon Doherty, though, and Carl Davis are the top two. There's Andy Cook behind. Carl Davis goes back into the lead, but he's missing his rear bumper, and we're now going up the inside of Carl Davis, going towards the legendary lefts, towards turn 8. We're going to try and get at the inside of Carl Davis. No, we break and lock up slightly. We are past the Northern Irish driver, Simon Doherty, though. But nevertheless, we've cut that corner slightly. But if we can try and just keep in the slipstream here of this guy, I reckon we can go up the inside at the end of the back straight. According to the minimap, it would seem as if we've got a little bit of a gap now over Simon Doherty and Andy Cook. We breeze out of the slipstream and we're now at the inside of Carl Davis, and as long as we keep it composed down into this final corner, we should be okay. There's a bit more damage down here as well, but through the final corners we come, this being the penultimate one, and now into the final one. We seem to have... Oh, we've done a very good job, actually. We've extended a massive lead over everyone else through those few corners. And we are going to take another win here. A very much more difficult win than what we've been used to recently. So that was a very interesting race. And for some reason, a heck of a lot of... Is this a glitch where, like, just a crap ton of people DNF from the race? I don't... But we do take the first win here at Istanbul. As you can see, we've also passed both our objectives, 4.4k from Apexi and 2.5k from Champion. Now, I apologise if there was a tiny bit of background noise at any point during this video so far. I actually accidentally had my TV turned up still. Slightly, only slightly, but anyway, we're into the second race of the weekend here at Istanbul, and this might be a lot more challenging actually, because we're only starting, well, we started 16th on the grid, we're now down to 17th, sorry. We've got Darren Cook and Alfred Risk in the DHL car just in front of us, and I think this might be a different variation, ever so slightly, of the Istanbul track, or is it the same? I don't know. Anyway, we're going around the outside there of John Gary. But this will be a lot more challenging. I don't know if the whole grid is randomised. Paul Hunt is leading. He wasn't involved in our battles at the front in the first race, so I can only assume the whole grid has been randomised. Anyway, we're going past Andy Cook, who was one of the people towards the front end of the order, so that's promising. Oh, Simon Doherty here as well. He's the guy who lost his rear bumper. Carl Davis, who we were battling with in the first race, has just bumped Caspi out wide. We then get a little bit physical as well, and flipping heck, Carl Davis lunges himself at us, but we get back through. Someone else has gone wide there as well. We're going to take a position there up to 9th place. Can we lunge up the inside of Davis? We can. That's 8th place. People getting a little bit frisky as well down into that final corner. But we've gone past Carl Townsend. Tyrell Keefe getting well out of shape on exit. So we're going to try and get past him with superior exit down towards turn 1. And we do. That's probably the best livery on the grid. Is that DHL one, I have to say. Because it matches the livery. It matches the sponsor as well, doesn't it? We're past David Cooper. I think that's the final of the people we were battling in the first race. And we're up into 5th place. We're not going to win this one, let's be real here, unless there's a crash. But we could get on the podium, certainly. Well, we are on the podium. We've passed Chris Black. And this has been a very good lap so far, actually. We've got Paul Hunt now in front of us, and then Lee Murphy's obviously in the lead. But we're going to try and get around the outside here through this left-hander, and we do. We never know, we might get a better exit out of this corner here. Think we can slipstream Lee Murphy? I don't think Chevrolet Lassettis particularly have much in terms of slipstream ability, but we're going to come across the line in a very solid 2nd place, right behind the winner, just tucked up his gearbox. So then, a 1st and a 2nd in this event so far. There you can see we beat our nearest rival in the end by 14 points. That was Carl Davis and David Cooper combined. And there you can see for the 2nd of the races, unfortunately we didn't actually hit our Apexi objective because we had to win. We do still get a 2.5k payout from champion. We also get a lot more in terms of XP, which goes into the Euro category, and the amount that we win overall is 50,400 from that one, meaning our balance is now 68,100 because we actually had to pay for the Chevrolet Lassetti before we started, which was marginally more than the amount we actually won. Sponsors, oh my word, Fila. I see Fila. I think we might have to change the livery completely, just be Fila Racing. We've got new sponsorship, boys, and Fila, who, do they make shoes? I'm fairly sure they do, and Goodrich as well. We can have a bit of a blue and red livery. This may be the right time to change to a Manor type of livery, and I'm feeling that, and we're going to be sponsored by Fila. Boys, we are Fila Racing. Well, we're not, we're FNG Racing still, but we are, like, to be honest, I can't actually quite work out. Actually, I'm going to change Apexi just quickly. I can't quite work out whether to have Fila in white or keep Fila like that, because it sort of goes with delivery if I keep it like that. We've also got some new sponsors as well. Let me just get Apexi back on in a small way. They're very small, are these new sponsors. You can see them, but they don't encroach on the livery too much. In fact, if we go into Freeview, you can see Goodrich there just on the bumper, Firestone as well, and Apexi are now at the back, but obviously the main sponsor is Fila, and I reckon this is probably the closest I can get to making this car look like the Manor. So yeah, we are now sort of Fila Manor Racing. I'm not going to change the name, we're going to stay as FNG Racing, but we've now got a very different sponsor, and just in time for the first 24 hours of Le Mans, which marks the end of every single season in this game, or of this sort of career mode. We're going to go for a team entry, but of course we have to actually buy the car, which we can't do because we don't have any money. So we might have to do a driver offer for this one. That payout is substantial. Well, I think what we'll do is for the first 24 hours Le Mans of this series, we're going to go with driver offers. So it will only be for season 2, at the end of season 2, because this is obviously the end of season 1. At the end of season 2, hopefully we'll have built up enough money to go ahead and enter our own team. So we're going to go to work with Porsche for the 24-hour of Le Mans, the first 24 hours of Le Mans of this series so far. Right then, so we're driving for someone else's team. I didn't take note of who it was, but we are underway for this one. Now, for those unfamiliar, of course, with the Le Mans 24 Hours, this is, of course, a 24-hour race at the legendary Le Mans track. We're split up into groups, shall we say, or categories, and they all race against each other, basically. Obviously, we're not going to win the race outright because we're in a GT2 Porsche. We're not going to get an LMP1 drive because we're still relatively new to proceedings. Let's be real here. We're very new to everything. We're only in our first season in terms of our career. So that's why we're in the lowest ranked car, if you like. But we've got 7 cars, a 7-car field in GT2 for this one. We've got Romain Dumas in front of us. Behind us is Gunnar Jeanette in the Panos, and it's the 2 Spikers and another Panos. But yeah, obviously it is 24 hours, which means we're going to go through night and day here. And obviously with it being night time, that opens up a whole new can of worms in terms of challenges. Because, well, you know, we've not driven at night so far on this game before. You guys haven't seen me drive at night on this game. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Obviously the headlights will come on automatically and all that good stuff. It's going to be a 24-minute race. You can see at the top it's going down. But the equivalent is obviously 24 hours. So when you see the fact that it's just gone below 21, that we'll say that means that we've got 21 hours of the race left. But obviously you guys know that it's not quite 21 hours. It won't last quite that long. Anyway, we've got the Matmut Porsche Romain Dumas to our left-hand side, who I'm fairly sure by now, right now, in real life, is actually a big shot Le Mans driver. But not now. He's a GT2 driver. Back in the day of 2008. Anyway, got another Porsche to our left-hand side well, it was, anyway, Jörg Bergmeister. Now Gunnar Jeanette has brake-checked everyone, and now we've gone past everyone. Just under 20 hours, or units, of this race to go, but let's be honest, it's not 20 hours. Gunnar Jeanette is breezing past us, because that Panos is extremely quick in a straight line, supposedly. As everyone else starts fanning out behind, we're going defensive to Jörg Bergmeister. Gunnar Jeanette brakes slightly questionably there, as Bergmeister then lunges up our inside. Now behind us is Donny Cravell in the Spiker. That silver Panos that you can see just in front, that car is first in class. We're just alongside Jörg Bergmeister going through the Porsche curves, which probably spells disaster, really. Ooh, hello. As the headlights come on because it's now night time. So we are currently 3rd in class but 12th out on the track. Coming towards the end of the first lap with just over 17 hours of the race to go, or units of the race to go. We are just going up into 2nd in class, up the inside down towards turn 1 as we pass Jörg Bergmeister. Down towards the chicane. We are just behind Gunnar Jeanette in that Panos. One thing I always used to think about is how random it really used to be that you just literally had Le Mans 24 hours. At the end of each season. Because really, in real life, the Le Mans 24 hours happens in July. And it's just an event in the middle of the summer. But on this game, I think I might have mentioned this, I don't know if I have, but on this game, it actually signals the end of a season. So once this race is done, we'll then be in Season 2. And then when the Le Mans 24 hours happens in Season 2, after that, it'll be Season 3. So, literally, after you see this race, there'll be a graphic to show that is the end of our first season. How much we've earned in that first season. So, all the events that you've seen so far in this series, that's just been Season 1. That's been solely Season 1. And then everything that happens after this is Gunnar Jeanette spins out with no help whatsoever. We now lead our class. I don't know where we were. Where were we? Yeah, you'll see a graphic after this race that shows Season 2. So all the events that we've had so far, the Demolition Derby, the 2 touring car events, the invitationals, all of that was Season 1. And then from now on will be Season 2. Richard Dean in the orange Panos, who's just replaced his Panos mate, Gunnar Jeanette, as our nearest challenger. After Gunnar decided to spin off and throw himself at the scenery. But as you can see, the lighting is now starting to change. It is now dawn for the Le Mans 24 hours here. We've got through the night time, and your own Blakemolen, as Le Mans starts to be brightened up by some sunlight, the Spiker of your own Blakemolen is now up into 2nd place. I think there were 2 things wrong with this game. One was quite fundamental, and the other was very small. The fundamental thing was the fact that you can't have rain. But the small thing, which was to do with the Le Mans 24 Hours, was it wasn't actually decided when you came across the checkered, like, across the line for the final time. It was actually decided when the timer ran out. So, whatever the positions were when the time went to 0, that's when the classification was taken. So if the counter went to 0, like say here on the track, even though this isn't the start-finish line, the classification will be taken from this point. Whereas obviously in real life, the timer would go down, and then it would be the next completed lap. Proper sunlight, proper daylight here in the morning at Le Mans now. And with just 5 hours of this one to go, we are still leading. But obviously the main target in future seasons is to come here with our own team. With FNG Racing, not have to do this as part of an invitational. We'll bring our own team here, buy our own car, bring that team here with the car, hopefully have a teammate, and do what we, and just win the Le Mans 24 Hours with our own team. That's what we want to do. We're still leading. We've probably led for about 17 hours of the 22 hours that we've had so far. That Panos, though, is very quick in a straight line, and I think he's going to try and go to our inside now, down through this left-hander. The first, well, it's a left-hander, but it's the chicane, obviously, isn't it? Let's be real here. We're hanging around the outside, though, of the Brit in the American car. Anyway, Richard Dean is getting very touchy-feely, and we've outbroken ourselves there, but thankfully, he doesn't quite get the switch back. I think, oh no, we haven't lost someone. They're just way at the back. I don't know what happened to them, but for some reason they are way at the back. We've got about 7 seconds here to hold on, though, from Richard Dean. 5 seconds to go. I think we're going to hold on here, and we do. We finished 10th place overall, and for Noel DeBello Racing, win the GT2 category in the Le Mans 24 Hours in our first attempt. Not a bad way to end the season. It did get a little bit touchy-feely towards the end. Tom Christensen, though, wins the Le Mans 24 Hours proper from Emanuele Pirro. But we win for Noel DeBello Racing the GT2 category of the Le Mans 24 Hours. And that brings to an end Season 1 of this grid walkthrough, and pretty much brings an end, I would have thought, to this episode. As you can see, though, 9,500 in payment for completing the event, on top of the bonus objective in winning the GT2 event of the Le Mans 24 Hours. We get £125,500. We get a total of 138k from that one, which means our balance is now 206k, which means we're almost inevitably going to have enough money to buy a GT2 car to compete and defend our title in the Le Mans 24 Hours, but this time with our own team. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Feel free to smash the likes button if you are looking forward to that, because I am massively looking forward to that. That is going to be absolutely awesome, taking our own team to the Le Mans 24 Hours. As you can see, though, this is the end of Season 1. We'll be getting into Season 2 straight away with our new livery and sponsors and our new look brand for next season. For Season 2, I think I might actually change the livery up every single season like you would see in real life. The event wins then for Season 1 for money won 311k. Obviously we had to spend quite a bit of that though on cars. And reputation earned 87,445. And at the end of Season 1, we find ourselves 369th in the driver rankings. I think we started in the 400s, so we've managed to overtake about 100 drivers then. And right at the top is now Stefan Ortelli. So that's interesting. The two Raven West boys have actually been dropped. So Stefan Ortelli has now moved up to be the top driver in the world in front of Marcel Fassler. Team rankings, we are 112th, which actually is not bad at all. This is decided on earnings across the whole thing. And that really is not too bad whatsoever. 112th in the world. And that brings an end to today's episode. As I said a moment ago, I hope you have enjoyed the sponsors and all that. But obviously, of course, the rebrand. But obviously, of course, the Le Mans 24 Hours and our touring car event as well. Hit the like button if you did enjoy that. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And comment about enjoying the video if you enjoyed it that much. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye from Fila Motorsport, powered by FNG Racing.
you.